There are lots of financial talking heads out there, but there's only one who's local to Tucson. Welcome to Saving with Silverman. Mark Silverman is a certified financial planner, and he's here to help you with your financial questions. Today, we'll try to educate you about the financial world and encourage you to think of solutions to your financial goals. So, let's get started. Saving with Silverman starts now.
Welcome to Saving with Silverman with Mark Silverman. Of course, Mark's the star of the show. He's been doing this for quite some time. And Mark, of course, at Silverman and Associates in Tucson. And Mark, as always, it is good to be with you.
Ron, I'm always happy to be here, and good talking to you again.
We have some interesting things to talk about today on the show. And first, let me put this number out there, 520-333-7601. That is 520-333-7601. You can call or text to that number and get in touch with Silverman and Associates, 520-333-7601. My name is Ron Stutz. I am with Mark. And Mark, let's talk about things that nobody says. I know that you've been doing this for quite a while, and you've heard a lot of people say a lot of things, but these are a few things that you've never heard anybody say, I'm guessing. But you've never heard anybody make any of these statements. You've probably heard the opposite more than a time or two. And number one, hey, Mark, I really regret putting money into my Roth IRA every year. You've never heard anybody say that, have you?
Never heard that. But yeah, I mean, having money in a Roth IRA is probably one of the best places you could put money if you're eligible to. A lot of people can't contribute. However, everybody can do a conversion if it's possible. So it's putting money in a Roth, and just to kind of give people an idea what a Roth IRA is it's other than a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, the money goes in after tax. It still grows tax deferred, and then any money that comes out of the Roth, well, there's certain rules and restrictions, but the money that comes out is all tax free. So as long as you meet that criteria, that's how a Roth IRA works, which is great because you don't have required minimum distributions at 70.5 like you do with our traditional IRA, 401k, et cetera. With a Roth IRA, you can take the money if you need it. If you don't have to take it. So you're not paying taxes on money you don't need. And so, putting money, if you're able to put into a Roth, is probably one of the best things you can do.
Well, here's something else I bet you've never heard. In retrospect, I should have spent more and saved less over the years because now I don't know what I'm going to do with all this money before I die.
Yeah, we've never had anybody tell me that they've had more money than they need in retirement, and that's a problem. However, people do come up short and wish that they would have started earlier, saved more, spent less, exactly like what you said there, and done things a little bit differently. But hindsight's always 20/20. So the better off you can do as far as planning, really spending the time and putting your time into having a plan and sticking to a plan and making sure that you're saving enough, and so you can have the type of retirement that you enjoy. And if you're already retired, making sure that you're not spending too much that's going to put your money in jeopardy as far as running out or not having enough to cover healthcare, et cetera.
As a certified financial planner professional and the founder of Silverman and Associates, Mark has heard a lot of things from a lot of people over the years, but these are things that nobody ever says to him. And here's another one for you, Mark. The life insurance payout I got when my husband died was a little insulting because it's like he thought I couldn't handle the finances without some help. Anybody ever said that to you?
No, and life insurance, it can be misused. I'm not a big believer in everybody needs life insurance, but life insurance nowadays can be used for a lot of different purposes. Most obvious would be, having a tax-free death benefit to your loved ones, whether it be a spouse or children, et cetera, passing money on to another generation. But it could be used for a lot of different things now with life insurance. We use a lot for long-term care planning. It could be used for, like I said, legacy planning. There's even some instances where life insurance can be used to create income in retirement, believe it or not. So there's lots of different uses for life insurance, more than what most people think. But again, a lot of people buy life insurance and then their needs change and they still keep the same policy, and that policy is not serving them well.
Gosh, I guarantee you've never heard this one, Mark. I can't imagine anybody saying this. It makes me feel patriotic to pay more taxes than I have to. So I don't really enjoy finding ways to pay less.
Yeah, that's pretty absurd. But, we do tax planning here in the office. Doesn't mean we're going to do your tax returns and that sort of thing. But, helping you make better decisions based on your tax consequences is a smart thing to do. Should you take money out of this account or that account, et cetera. And so tax planning is part of the financial planning process that we do follow. Too many advisors out there are more concerned about selling you something, and they don't take taxes in consideration, which I think is a big mistake because it's always part of the equation.
Some of these
it should be.
Some of these things I'm throwing at you today are just totally ridiculous, just absurd. But here's another one. I love the big market corrections. And this is a person who probably really enjoyed what's been happening lately with up and down in the stock market. And this person might say, it's like a fun roller coaster ride. 2008 was probably my favorite year. Have you ever heard anybody say 2008 was their favorite year?
I haven't heard that, but I did have somebody recently tell me that they like it when the markets go down because they can buy more shares at a lower price, but they have a long-term approach and they have a lot of years before they retire. So, and that actually makes sense. But when you're in the moment and you're seeing your accounts go down, nobody really enjoys that. Nobody likes to lose money. But if you're investing in the market, you need to understand that there is going to be volatility. And certainly we've seen that over the last, month and a half or so, certainly a lot of increased volatility. So, if you focus on your goals and your objectives, it seems to be a better way when, our clients have a plan versus people who are trying to, whether they're trying to time the market or get in and out at the right times or wrong times, whatever it might be, is usually a losing strategy. So it's important that you stay focused on your goals, and everybody's got different goals. But if you know what those are and they're laid out in a plan, you're going to be in much better shape, in our opinion.
Mark, I know that with all the people that you've worked with over the years, you've certainly heard a lot of things. And some people say things that are rather outlandish, but probably never said any of those things that I just brought up here. And if there's somebody out there right now who has legitimate questions or legitimate concerns about getting ready for their retirement, preparing in the proper way, and they want to come in and have a conversation with you face to face, what happens when they walk into your office?
Well, whether you're a first-time listener to the show or you've heard me for a long time, if anything I've said makes sense or resonates with you, this is now your chance to come in and have a conversation with me in my office to go through this process we call the financial physical. And I can assure you, I will not be trying to sell you investment or insurance products. I repeat, this is not a sales meeting. Rather, we will discuss your values and goals in a way, honestly, you probably never have. This consultation is designed for both individuals as well as couples. However, if you are married, it is mandatory that both spouses attend this initial meeting. So whether you're still working or already retired, this is a great opportunity to see what it looks like to work with someone who's actually required to have a fiduciary responsibility to look out for your best interest at all times. And as part of the financial physical, we will discuss your cash reserves, debt if you have any, insurance, all types, and how to best allocate your assets. And we'll even benchmark where you are now financially compared to where you want to be, so you have an even better perspective of what's required to achieve your goals for the reasons that are important to you. This becomes the foundation for developing a plan that gives you the highest probability of making that happen. This meeting will be valuable to you whether or not we decide to work together. There is no cost or obligation for this initial appointment. However, it is best suited for people who have saved at least $250,000. And as you probably are aware, I am a certified financial planner professional, and I believe the only one locally here on the radio in Tucson. And the going hourly rate to meet with a CFP such as myself can cost as much as $300 an hour. So this is a tremendous value and chance to finally get your financial house in order and keep it that way. And your only commitment is an hour or so of your time. We try our best to help everyone. However, our slots fill up quickly. So I can only guarantee a complimentary meeting to the next 5 people that contact us right now. Please don't procrastinate, because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
If you'd like to come in and have a conversation, a no obligation, no cost conversation with Mark Silverman, here's the number to call or text, whichever you prefer, 520-333-7601. That is 520-333-7601. Get the financial physical, and when you come in to talk with Mark, he's going to put your portfolio through a financial physical, make sure it's up to the test to survive and thrive in retirement. You've dreamed of retiring your whole working life, and you want to do the kind of retirement that you've always dreamed of, and Mark can help you achieve that goal. 520-333-7601. That is 520-333-7601. Mark Silverman will be back with more right here on our radio show today. This is Saving with Silverman. Stay with us.
At Silverman and Associates, we believe you deserve a financial plan that's customized to your situation. That's because no one strategy could possibly fit your unique needs and goals. From strategizing to execution, our goal is to give you undivided attention. Come in for a visit today and learn what it looks like to put your retirement dreams into action. Call or text 520-333-7601. That's 520-333-7601.
Welcome back to Saving with Silverman. I'm Rod Stutz along with Mark Silverman, certified financial planner professional at Silverman and Associates. Mark, of course, is the founder and the managing member and working out of Tucson, serving folks all over southern Arizona. If you'd like to check out Mark's website, go to savingwithsilverman.com. That is savingwithsilverman.com. But the all-important phone number I'm going to pass along to you right now, please write it down, put it in your cell phone, whatever you need to do to remember it, because you'll want to call in and get a time set aside so you can come in and have a conversation with Mark Silverman. He's not going to put you off on anybody else. You're going to come in and actually talk face-to-face with Mark. No obligation, no cost. 520-333-7601. That's 520-333-7601. You can call or text, whichever you prefer. Again, 520-333-7601. Let's talk about things that drive you crazy. I know there are a lot of things that drive me crazy, particularly when I'm behind the wheel and get kind of frustrated with people doing stupid things out on the highway. And no industry is without its flaws. The financial industry is certainly no exception. Tell us about a time when you've encountered some of these particular issues, when folks have been working with other people or talking to other people, and how you've been annoyed by them. First of all, Mark, how about hidden fees? That's one thing we talk about a lot on this show, and it really is kind of irritating that they're hidden and folks aren't upfront about what it's going to cost their clients.
Sure. I mean, and we believe in full transparency. In fact, we're required to have that because, again, I have a fiduciary responsibility with all my clients versus other advisors don't have that obligation. But, hidden fees is there. I mean, we see it a lot, especially with mutual funds. A lot of people are using loaded mutual funds that have a lot of hidden fees and expenses that they're unaware of. Whether the advisor discloses them or not, I'm not part of that conversation, but a lot of people are unaware, it seems like, of that. The other thing is investment products, the ones that have a lot of hidden fees, whether it be non-traded REITs, certain annuities have a lot of expenses and charges and very expensive to own. There's lots of different things that are out there. And unfortunately, advisors aren't giving people a clear picture and giving them the pros and the cons and being objective as possible. And unfortunately, that's kind of the industry that we're in because so many people are motivated by just selling things rather than trying to serve the clients well.
You're listening to Mark Silverman, and his radio show is Saving with Silverman. And of course, I can't say this enough, Mark is a fiduciary. That means he has your best interests at heart. When you come in to talk with Mark, you're not going to get a sales pitch. There's not going to be any pressure. You're not going to try to sell you any products. So write down this number if you haven't already. 520-333-7601. 520-333-7601. You can call right now if you like, or send a text. 520-333-7601. If you wait until the end of the show, you'll have a lot of other folks calling at the same time, so why not get ahead of them in line and you can arrange a time to come in and have a conversation. A lot of advisors out there or stockbrokers, whatever, are working with big companies who push certain products, and we all know that exists, and that's not the way you work at all, is it?
No, and I come from that arena. I mean, I started for a big wirehouse out of college, and I've worked for a few banks here in town as well. And I can tell you, when companies have their own products, proprietary, whatever your house brand, the advisor, the firm obviously makes more money pushing those things. And that's obviously not objective and not in the client's best interest. So I can tell you that, we're fully independent. We don't have any broker-dealer affiliation, et cetera. So we're not pushing our own products. We use strictly third party, so we can always offer the clients what's in their best interest, and we're not incentivized to use one company versus the other. And I think that's what people want, and they want that full transparency. But unfortunately, most people are still working with firms that are operating under that model where they get sold a lot of the house brand and that sort of thing.
Some people in the financial industry try to dazzle you with all kinds of buzzwords and jargon that don't really mean anything at all to the average person. They're just kind of insider talk, and they think you're going to be impressed with that. And I know that's not something you do either.
Well, that drives me crazy too. I mean, if you're meeting with somebody, hopefully you vetted them and they should be qualified and know what they're talking about. But it doesn't do any good if you start throwing terms out there that the clients don't understand. Our job is to make sure that we can really analyze the situation and give you good advice that you can understand. It does nobody any good to start throwing things out that's speaking over you that you can't understand. And unfortunately, in our industry, a lot of people like to throw words and jargon out that really doesn't mean anything at the end. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of people, one of the best compliments I get is people coming to me saying, we've heard you on the radio either once or many times, and you sound like you make sense and we can understand you. You talk in our terms. Well, that's what it's about, in my opinion. So, really trying to connect with clients and really help them and being able to have a conversation with them where we're both on the same page.
And sort of related to that, a lot of companies that you meet with may have some kind of a fancy brochure, or they put together a financial plan for you that consists of dozens of pages that you're not going to read, and nobody can understand what it says anyway. And you do just the opposite, trying to keep it simple so that anybody can understand exactly what you're saying.
Well, we walk people through the plan, and our plan does have lots of pages, Ron, but what we try to do is really focus on what's important, because there's a lot of topics that we are covering when we do a comprehensive financial plan. So it's really walking through people so that we can help them implement it. Just doing a plan and giving it to somebody saying, here you go, have a nice day, doesn't help. People need help implementing, understanding what that means, how they need to implement it, why they need to implement it, and help implementing it. That's really what they're there for, holding people accountable and making sure that so they can achieve what it is they're looking to achieve. And so I think that's the important thing as far as what sets us apart from most advisors who are just there to sell you a product, and maybe it solves your problem, maybe it doesn't, but really having somebody that's objective, that can look out for your best interest, is what people want at the end of the day.
Mark, I know that there are people out there right now who are listening to what you say and thinking to themselves, this guy really makes sense. It's all about common sense, not trying to dazzle you with any kind of financial jargon. If they want to come in and have a conversation with you in your office, what do you offer them?
Well, just like you get a second opinion on your health, why wouldn't you get a second opinion on your wealth? So whether you're a do-it-yourself or already working with someone, this is now your chance to go through this process that we call the financial physical. Do you know what your investments are costing you? If you're still working, are you on track to have the type of retirement you've always envisioned? Or if you're already retired, do you know if you or your spouse are at risk of running out of money while trying to maintain your current lifestyle? I can assure you, I will not be trying to sell you investment or insurance products. I repeat, this is not a sales meeting. In this initial meeting, we'll address issues of importance to you, provide an overall view of your situation, and give you some general advice on what needs to be completed. This consultation is designed for both individuals as well as couples. However, if you are married, it is mandatory that both spouses attend this initial meeting. So whether you're still working or already retired, this is a great opportunity to see what it looks like to work with someone who is actually required to have a fiduciary responsibility to look out for your best interest at all times. This meeting will be valuable to you whether or not we decide to work together. There is no cost or obligation for this initial appointment. However, it is best suited for people who have saved at least $250,000. As you probably are aware, I am a certified financial planner professional, and I believe the only one locally here on the radio in Tucson, and the going hourly rate to meet with a CFP such as myself can cost as much as $300 an hour. So this is a tremendous value and chance to finally get your financial house in order and keep it that way. And your only commitment is an hour or so of your time. Just as you want to reach a healthy life from a physical standpoint, you also want to reach and maintain great financial health. So our financial physical is just what the doctor ordered. We try our best to help everyone, however our slots fill up quickly. So I can only guarantee a complimentary meeting for the next 5 people that contact us right now. Please don't procrastinate, because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
520-333-7601. That is 520-333-7601. Call or text your choice. That'll put you in touch with your certified financial planner professional. Silverman and Associates is where you'll find Mark Silverman. And again, that number is 520-333-7601. Whether you live in Tucson or wherever you are in southern Arizona, go ahead and call that number right now, 520-333-7601. You're listening to Saving with Silverman. I'm Ron Stutz along with Mark Silverman, and there's more coming up after this timeout.
Have you ever heard that story about the grasshopper and the ant? You know, the one where the grasshopper fails to plan in the spring and almost starves to death in the winter? Learn from that. Don't wait until it's too late to get your finances in order. Start your path to a rewarding retirement today. Keep listening to Saving with Silverman.
Welcome back to Saving with Silverman. Ron Stutz here along with Mark Silverman of Silverman and Associates. 520-333-7601 is your number to call. That is 520-333-7601. You can call that number or you can text. Simply leave your contact information And if you're texting, leave your first and last name. And a member of Mark's team will get back with you first part of the week, and you can arrange a time to come in and have a conversation with Mark Silverman. 520-333-7601. Mark, we always get great questions from our listeners on the request line, and we have a good one today from Charles in Marana. Charles says, with so much market uncertainty recently, is this a good time to buy bonds?
Well, Charles, that's a great question. It's always a good time to buy any investment. I mean, really, is the best time to invest is now. Anybody that tells you now is not a good time to invest or you should wait or hold off is really trying to time the market, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Nobody does. But as far as how much you should have, it should be based on your goals and objectives, your risk tolerance, those sorts of things. So assuming that you're working with someone who's assessed your risk properly and is willing to look at your goals and objectives, they could figure out what that allocation should be and then properly allocate your investments, which should have a combination of different things in there. The right combination is important, and that should be adjusted as time goes on. Most people become more conservative, as they get closer to retirement, and certainly in retirement. Not always, but that's typically what happens. So you need to work with someone who's willing to figure out what that combination should be, so you're not trying to time the market of when you should get into bond market and when you should get out, or in the stock market, vice versa. So again, there's never a good or bad time to get in or out of the market. It's whenever you have the money to invest, typically is a good time, but you got to make sure you get that allocation proper and right the first time, so you're not taking a bunch of chances with your money that you weren't anticipating.
Okay, good question from Charles. Charles, thank you very much. And Mick in Foothills has the next question here. Mick says, I recently had a REIT proposed to me as an investment I should consider. REIT, of course, REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. What are your thoughts on these?
Well, Mick, that's a great question. There's different types. I think the ones you're probably talking about are non-traded REITs. They're typically sold by a lot of stockbrokers, sell them. The problem is they're commissionable products, meaning that the advisor that recommends them to you gets paid a commission, and it's a hefty commission. The problem is they're highly liquid investments. In fact, I'm going through a case now where we have a client that we just brought on that's got several of these, and one of them actually is worth nothing. And we're in the process now of figuring out which, sometimes you get offers on them to purchase them for, 30, 40, 50 cents on the dollar. So you are losing money on them. Some of them do work out, but it's been my experience that a lot of them don't. And any product that pays a high commission like that, I would be leery of. So, any advisor that sells those, I'm also leery of too, to be quite honest with you. We don't sell commissionable products like those sorts of things. And I've never sold one. I never will sell one. But unfortunately, I do have clients that have them, and we're trying to work through those. Sometimes it does work in their favor, but I'd say most of the time, in our case, they haven't been as great as what they thought they were. So be careful.
Our third question of the day is from Patty in Casa Grande. And let me just tell you, Mark, just from reading this question, I know that this is a person who needs to come in and see you and would certainly benefit a lot from a conversation in your office. Patty says, my financial advisor seems to do a good job of managing my investments, as far as I can tell. But that's a warning flag right there. But we never talk about other things like Social Security or life insurance or legacy plans, which are all things that I feel I should be getting advice on. Is this typical?
Well, I'm a certified financial planner, so I'm going to be a little bit biased, but most financial advisors are basically one-trick ponies. They're either selling you on their investment management or they're selling you on their insurance or annuities or whatever it might be, but they're not looking at the whole picture. And as you know, and I apparently you recognize, things as far as insurance, estate planning, taxes, the investments, the risk, the diversification, legacy planning, estate planning, all these sorts of things go together. And if you don't have one person that you can talk to that puts all these pieces together for you, it could be a problem. And, nobody wants to work with 12 people on one thing. And so it's important you have somebody that can help put all these pieces together for you. So like I said, most advisors, unfortunately, are in that same model where they just focus on one thing, where we try to be more holistic, more comprehensive, where we put all these pieces together. Doesn't mean, like I said earlier, we're going to do your taxes for you, but we are going to look at the tax situation. If you do have a CPA, we will work with that person. If you don't have a CPA, we can make recommendations to people that we know and trust. Same thing is true with estate planning, health insurance, all these different things that go together. We want to be included, so we make sure that we're giving you the right advice that's in your best interest by bringing in other professionals, but coordinating all of that, so it's not up to you to do everything.
There are a lot of things that go together to make a good plan, and that's the key. Everybody needs a plan. If you are interested in getting a plan put together for your retirement, if you're in the red zone in particular, the years leading up to your retirement, or maybe you're about to retire now or you want to, or perhaps you've already retired, this is the time to come in and have a conversation with Mark Silverman. And Mark, I'm going to give out the number in just a moment here. Very important number. If you haven't written it down already, please do so in a moment. But what happens when a new person comes into your office and talks with you for the very first time?
Well, Ron, first I want to say thanks to everybody for listening, and I want to thank everybody for taking the time to the three people that emailed those questions in. And I just want to say that if you have a question and you want it to submit it, you can go to the website, which is savingwithsilverman.com, and go to the media tab, and there's a place to submit your question, and maybe you'll hear it on the show. So, but now is my chance to ask you a question. Here's a simple one, and can you answer it honestly and objectively as possible? Aside from the happy hellos and how's the family, and aside from the occasional lunch or golf game, I mean, I get it. I'm as much friends with so many of my clients, they become true friends over the many years. But I think the question has to be asked, especially in light of the stakes. Is your current financial advisor truly adding value beyond a doubt? And I'll repeat, is your current financial advisor truly adding value? It's a valid question, as a friendship or just relationship allows you not to be in a position to ask those critical questions. Are you talking about taxes? Are you talking about Social Security and income and risk and diversification and insurance and estate planning and healthcare? Are you having those annual reviews, but hopefully it's more frequently than that? Is there detailed follow-up? Is there accountability? If you are, if all of that is happening, congratulations, because you've got a great relationship, and send your financial advisor a thank you. But if you're not having that, if you're not feeling the value, if you're not having these in-depth conversations, then you owe it to yourself and really to your family to have a conversation with someone else, because if you don't, you're the one that's going to suffer. You're the one that's going to pay the cost, and it'll cost you in more ways than you'll ever know. Let us prove to you how we can help your money go further in retirement. Let us show you with our financial physical. I believe you'll be surprised at what you'll learn, and this won't cost you anything. Give us a call or send us a text to 520-333-7601, 520-333-7601. That's 520-333-7601, or check us out online at savingwithsilverman.com. That's savingwithsilverman.com. Please don't procrastinate, because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life. 520-333-7601. That once again is 520-333-7601. Call that number, or you can send a text to that number if you prefer to do that. And you can leave your contact information. A member of the team will get back with you. You can arrange a convenient time to come in and have a conversation with Mark. 520-333-7601. You can call right now. Don't procrastinate. 520-333-7601. Call or text. I'm Ron Stutz, along with Mark Silverman of Silverman and Associates. He, of course, is a certified financial planner professional, the founder and the managing member of Silverman and Associates in Tucson. And Mark, it's been a pleasure being with you today. I feel as if you're going to hear from a lot of our listeners. Ron, always happy to speak with you and speak to our listeners, and looking forward to another great week.
Join us again next week for the next edition of Saving with Silverman.
Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC is a registered investment advisor. Information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, product, service, or investment strategy. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Be sure to first consult with a qualified advisor, tax professional, or attorney before implementing any strategy or recommendation discussed herein.